sedated 4 days after ASD heart surgery. Here's what you need to know. My name is Patrik Hutzel from intensivecarehotline.com with another quick tip for families in intensive care. Here at intensivecarehotline.com, we instantly improve the lives for families of critically ill patients in intensive care so that you can make informed decisions, have peace of mind, control, power, and influence, making sure your loved one always gets best care and treatment. And today I have a question that comes from Tara, who says, "Dear Patrik, my niece recently underwent ASD heart surgery, and ASD stands for atrial septal defect, and it has now been 4 days since her procedure. She has still not woken up. The doctors have told us she's being kept under sedation, but we have no clear understanding of why it has been this long, what they are watching for, or when they plan to bring her out of it. We are not medical professionals and we are struggling to make sense of what is happening. We just want to understand whether this is normal after this type of surgery and what we should be asking her doctors right now. Is it normal for a patient to remain sedated this long after ASD surgery, and what should we be doing to get clearer answers from the medical team?" Thank you so much, from Tara. And before I answer Tara's question, you might be wondering what makes me qualified to answer questions like this from Tara and from other families in intensive care. I have been working in critical care nursing for over 25 years in 3 different countries, where I worked as a nurse manager for over 5 years in intensive care. And I've been consulting and advocating for families in intensive care here at intensivecarehotline.com since 2013. And I can very confidently say that we have saved many lives for our clients in intensive care. And you can verify that on our testimonials section at intensivecarehotline.com. And you can verify that on our podcast section at intensivecarehotline.com, where we have done client interviews. I'm also the founder and managing director of Intensive Care at Home, where we send intensive care nurses into the home for long-term, mainly ventilated ICU patients. Now, let's go to Tara's question. And because Tara's asking, is this normal? Well, Tara, after a routine ASD repair, most patients are taken off the breathing machine within hours to 24 hours. Sedation is lightened quickly. ICU stays are often just only 1 to 2 days. So 4 days of sedation with no clear explanation, that is not the expected cause. Something has complicated her recovery, and you need to know what it is. So what could be causing this? There are several reasons a patient might remain sedated this long after cardiac surgery. Let me walk you through the main ones. Number 1 would be low cardiac output. The heart may be struggling to pump effectively after surgery. If output is low and the patient is hemodynamically unstable, the team may keep her sedated while the heart recovers. Number 2, respiratory complications, fluids on the lungs, atelectasis, which is basically collapsed parts of the lungs, or pneumonia can prevent the patient from breathing independently. If her lungs cannot do the work, she stays on the ventilator. Number 3, this is critically important, a neurological event. Stroke is a known complication of cardiac surgery. If the team is concerned about her brain, they may be managing very carefully. Has she had a CT scan or an MRI? Has neurology been involved? You need to ask. Number 4, bleeding or surgical complications, post-operative bleeding, tamponade. That is fluid around the heart or an issue with the repair itself, can prolong the ICU stay significantly. Number 5, infection. Post-cardiac surgery infections can be serious and can develop quickly. Number 6, kidney injury. The kidneys can be stressed by the surgery and bypass, and this affects how sedation and opiate medications are cleared from the body. Number 7, the team is planning a specific intervention, has not communicated this to the family. This happens more often than it should. And number 8, arrhythmias. Maybe your niece's heart has gone into AFib or atrial flutter, but that shouldn't really be stopping her from waking up, but it is still a question you should be asking. So, Tara and everyone watching, you have every right to clear answers. So let's now look at what should you ask. Here are the specific questions I want you to ask to the ICU team. Number 1, why is she still sedated? What is the specific clinical reason? What is the exact barrier to waking her up? What does her echocardiogram or ultrasound show? What does the chest X-ray show? Has she had any neurological assessment, a CT scan or MRI? Is there any concern about a stroke? What is the treatment plan and what is the timeline? Can we have a formal family meeting with the cardiac surgeon and the intensivist? Write these down, take them into the hospital. Do not leave until you have answers. Next, medical records. This is non-negotiable. Now I need to talk about something many families never do, and it is one of the most powerful things you can do right now. Get access to your niece's medical records. In countries like Australia, the US, UK, Canada, India, anywhere really around the world, you have a legal right to access your family members' medical records, assuming you are the medical power of attorney. Get all the doctor's notes, all the specialist reports, all the nursing notes and reports, pathology results, all imaging reports and scans, medication charts, ventilator settings, fluid balance charts, vital signs, all of it. Go to the hospital's medical records department, request them urgently. Do not wait until she is discharged. Without those medical records, you are entirely dependent on what the team chooses to share with you. With those records, you can understand what has actually happened, what decisions have been made, and where gaps in communication exist. Our team at intensivecarehotline.com will review those medical records with you and help you ask exactly the right questions based on what they contain. And if you're watching this and you are in Tara's situation, you are scared, you are confused, you're frustrated, and the medical team is not giving you clear answers, this is exactly why intensivecarehotline.com exists. You can book a call with me on the top of the website by clicking the schedule appointment button or book a call button, or you can simply call me on one of the numbers on the top of our website, or you can send us an email to support@intensivecarehotline.com. The way we work is I always offer a 15-minute free phone consultation, and then I have paid consulting and advocacy options available for you. We also have a membership for families of critically ill patients in intensive care that you can join, and you get your questions answered there in the membership. Go and check out intensivecaresupport.org. And before I close, I want to raise something most families in intensive care are never told about during an ICU admission. Some patients cannot be quickly weaned from the ventilator. Some need a tracheostomy, or they need BiPAP or CPAP without a tracheostomy long term. That means some require a level of intensive care nursing support that a standard hospital ward or a nursing home simply cannot provide. If that becomes the reality for your niece, there is a solution. I run an organization, intensivecareathome.com. We provide specialist home intensive care nursing in a patient's home 24 hours a day. We provide a genuine alternative to a long-term stay in intensive care, predominantly for ventilated and tracheostomy adults and children, long-term ventilated adults and children on BiPAP, CPAP, also for long-term tracheostomy without ventilation, adults and children, all at home. We're also providing solutions for home TPN, home IV fluids, home IV antibiotic infusions, etc. Currently, we're operating all around Australia in all states and territories, in all metropolitan, regional, and remote areas. And we are Australia's only third-party accredited and NDIS registered provider for intensive care at home nursing. But even if you're watching this and you're in the US, in Canada, in the UK, in India, wherever you are, please reach out to us. We can help you there as well and point you in the right direction. The bottom line is the goal is to keep adults and children out of ICU predictably and permanently, not in a nursing home, not in a long-term hospital ward, at home with the people they love, with the right clinical support around them 24 hours a day with critical care nurses. Go and visit intensivecareathome.com to find out more. And if you're not sure whether your loved one could be cared for at home, call us and we will work through it with you. Tara and anyone watching this, I hope this has given you clarity and a clear action plan for what to do next. Your niece has been sedated for 4 days after ASD surgery. Again, ASD is atrial septal defect. It's basically a hole in the heart. That is not typical. Something has complicated her recovery, and you deserve to know exactly what it is. Get her medical records, ask the specific questions I've outlined, demand a formal family meeting, which I can also be there for you as an advocate and ask the right question on your behalf. And of course, reach out to us at intensivecarehotline.com if you need support doing any of this. You are her advocate, and we can work with you to be an even stronger voice. You are the most important person in this situation. Do not stop until you have the answers you and your family and your niece deserve. And if this video helped you, please subscribe to this channel and share it with anyone who has a loved one in the ICU. Give it a like and click the notification bell. Because there are families who need this information and do not know where to find it or where to start. I have worked in critical care nursing for 25 years in 3 different countries, where I worked as a nurse manager for over 5 years in intensive care. And I've been consulting and advocating for families in intensive care since 2013 here at intensivecarehotline.com. And I can very, very, very confidently say that we have saved many lives with our consulting and advocacy because of our insights, and you can verify that on our testimonial section at intensivecarehotline.com, and you can verify it on our intensivecarehotline.com podcast section where we have done client interviews. And because our advice is absolutely life-changing, right? The biggest challenge for families in intensive care is simply that they don't know what they don't know. They don't know what to look for. They don't know what questions to ask. They don't know their rights, and they don't know how to manage doctors and nurses in intensive care. And that's why we help you to improve your life instantly, making sure you make informed decisions, have peace of mind, control, power, and influence, making sure your loved one gets best care and treatment always. And that's why you can join a growing number of members and clients that we have helped over the years, saving their loved ones' lives. And that's why I do one-on-one consulting and advocacy over the phone, Zoom, WhatsApp, whichever medium works best for you. And I talk to you and your families directly. I handhold you through this once-in-a-lifetime situation that you simply cannot afford to get wrong. And when I talk to families directly, I also talk to doctors and nurses directly, asking all the questions that you haven't even considered asking, but must be asked when you have a loved one critically ill in intensive care. I also represent you in family meetings with intensive care teams. We also do medical record reviews in real time so that you can get a second opinion in real time. We also do medical record reviews after intensive care. So if in case you have unanswered questions, if you need closure, or if you are suspecting medical negligence. We also have a membership for families of critically ill patients in intensive care, and you can become a member if you go to intensivecarehotline.com, if you click on the membership link, or if you go to intensivecaresupport.org directly. In the membership, you have access to me and my team 24 hours a day in a membership area and via email, and we answer all questions intensive care related. In the membership, you also have exclusive access to 21 ebooks and 21 videos that I've personally written and recorded. And all of that will help you to improve your life instantly, make informed decisions, have peace of mind, control, power, and influence, making sure your loved one gets best care and treatment always. And all of that you get at intensivecarehotline.com. Call us on one of the numbers on the top of our website, or simply send us an email to support@intensivecarehotline.com with your questions. And if you like my video, subscribe to my YouTube channel for regular updates for families in intensive care. Click the like button, click the notification bell, share the video with your friends and families, and comment below what you want to see next, what questions and insights you have from this video. I also do a weekly YouTube live where I answer your questions live on a show, and you will get notification from the YouTube live if you are a subscriber to my YouTube channel, or if you are a subscriber to my intensivecarehotline.com email newsletter at intensivecarehotline.com. Thank you so much for watching. This is Patrik Hutzel from intensivecarehotline.com, and I will talk to you in a few days. Take care for now.